Well, here we are again, you wannabe racers. Putting together a front axle for a 3/4 scale miller that I'm building for my next Cyclekart. And I thought maybe I'd show a little bit of what I'm doing to put it together. I'm working from the original drawings. This is an original drawing for the typical miller front axle from 1922. These were drawn by, almost all of the drafting was done by Leo Goosen, who was Miller's draftsman and engineer. The original axle had, you probably can't see this, it's so faded, and it's probably not going to show up very well on there, but the original axle had ends that looked very similar to this, which I'm going to have to fabricate. The original ones were castings, forgings rather. They could have been cast steel. I'm not really sure. There's nothing defined on any of these drawings. But he stocked this piece here, and this was the spring pad that slid over the axle also. So I just simplified the axle. There's no bending or anything, which is probably better for the Cyclekarts because you don't have to worry about getting an axle bent. You can fabricate something that looks similar to this, which some of the guys do. But he took a straight tube, slid one of these over each end, and this was electric welded onto the axle. The kingpin boss and the spring perches. So that's what I'm doing. I'm fabricating these from standard tubing and welding them together to make it look like it. You can take the original drawings and try to scale them down exactly 3/4 scale. That doesn't work, not for a Cyclekart. The frame, you can't scale the frame down in width or you can't get a driver in it. So everything has to end up a little bit off. The drawing I make up for the axle is like this. Again, it's so small I can barely even read it myself here, but I'll make up a drawing like this. This is what I'll use for my fixture. The fixture will be, will locate the kingpin bosses and the tube at the proper height and be all clamped down, and then also I'll get the angle of the I'm putting a 7-degree angle in for the caster when I weld up the pads. So the spring perches will be a tube, and it'll have a pad welded to the bottom of it, and that'll be at 7 degrees. And that gives me my proper caster starting point. I can shim underneath it to make it a little more or a little less, depending on where it wants to be. And it's easy enough to do with a thin tapered wedge that can be clamped up underneath there. This will be clamped to the spring, which will be underneath and have U-bolts going over the top to bolt it together with the spring coming through here. And I think I've got a spring over here. These are some springs I made up. I made up 3 sets of these a few years back when I first started doing the Cyclekarts. They're so hard to get, it's so hard to find, that I just bought material and I made my own, rolled my own eyes, and then I rolled the camber into it in a regular Harbor Freight roller, and then I sent them out and had them heat treated. I was going to do that myself, but it's very difficult to control the heat and the tempering on it, so I let a professional heat treater do the heat treating, and he brought all of them back to 42 Rockwell C. So that'll be under here with the U-bolts going through here to hold it on and be clamped up from the bottom. Now, the ends will look something like this. This is a piece of this is all chrome moly, by the way. This is 4130 chrome moly. This brace up in here, or gusset, this will be a piece of rectangular tubing, and it'll be cut to go up into there. And the bosses will be machined to take a 5/8 kingpin, which will be locked in place with a set screw off the side here on the flat of the kingpin. So the kingpin will stick out on each side, and the steering knuckle will go on like that, which is about as close as I can get to the way Miller did it. So I like the detail. I like putting a little detail like that into it. A lot of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and plug weld these from the side. They're very snug, very snug, tight fit to go on here, almost a shrink fit. And I'll plug weld them from the sides, and that'll hold everything together. Now, when I weld this chrome moly, always with stainless steel, and it helps with chrome moly to purge the inside, to get the air out of the inside, because the air has oxygen. This gets hot, it oxidizes the metal that's on the back side of the weld, and you end up with a little bit of crystallization on the back side of the weld. So if you purge it with an inert gas, which will be argon, and that's the same gas that I'll be using with the torch, the inside of the weld comes out looking almost like the outside of the weld. So I'm going to shut you down for a while, and I'm going to get set up on the welding here, and we'll pick it up after I start the welding.